What's up, Tech Heart? Welcome back to the Arch Linux installation series. So, if you've been following along in this playlist, you have your Arch Linux vanilla installation, and then you're able to go through and choose whatever desktop environment you want to install. We recently released the Hyprland with a Hyper v4 theme attached, but this video is going to be a vanilla Hyprland install. We'll install Hyprland, and then together we'll go through and set up the various helper apps like Waybar and wofi, Hyperpaper, and several others. By the time we're done, we'll have a pretty cool looking Hyprland setup, and we will have done it all ourselves. 95% of this channel is not subscribed, and if you're enjoying this Arch Linux series, I do ask that you give me a sub. It really helps. Let's get into what we're all here for. I'll meet you in the screen share. Booyah! Man, we should have like 900 extra subscribers. Let's go! I'm gonna get logged in. And I'm gonna make one change for you guys, just so you can see the fonts a little easier. Oh yeah! The first thing that we do before we install anything is let's upgrade our system. In our Arch Linux vanilla installation, we installed Peru. So we'll use Peru, give it a password, and we'll let that update our entire Arch Linux installation. We'll say yes to proceed to review. Okay, that's complete. I'll do a clear. And we're going to be working off of the Arch Linux Wiki Hyprland page. I can switch over here to a web browser and I'll flash the link on screen. But this is the Arch Linux Wiki and it talks about Hyprland. Section 1, Installation. We'll install one of the following, either Hyprland or Hyprland-Git. If you want a stable release, you'll make sure to install Hyprland. But I think tonight we're going to install Hyprland-Git. It's the most updated Hyprland we can get. Let's mention, if you're using an NVIDIA GPU, you're going to want to go over here to the Hyprland Wiki and follow the NVIDIA instructions to make sure you get your NVIDIA card set up. That's not in the purview of this video. So we're going to go back over here to the Arch Wiki and let's get Hyprland installed, shall we? Since our vanilla Arch Linux installation uses Peru, we can install both Arch Linux packages and Arch AUR packages through one command. So we'll do a Peru-S on Hyprland-Git. We're going to need the kitty terminal. That's what Hyprland expects. And then I'm going to install a bunch of other stuff. Let's start with some fonts. TTF-Cascadia-code-nerd. TTF-Cascadia mono-nerd. TTF-Fira-code, TTF-Fira-mono, TTF-Fira-sans, TTF-Fira-code-nerd, TTF-IO-sevka-nerd, TTF-IO-sevka term-nerd, TTF-JetBrains-mono nerd, TTF-JetBrains-mono, TTF-nerd fonts-symbols. Gotta have those symbols. TTF-nerd fonts-symbols mono. And then let's install the Brave browser, which I prefer over Firefox. So we'll do brave-bin. We're going to install the Dolphin File Explorer. We're going to install KIO-fuse. Those are Dolphin helpers that will allow us to mount NFS shares in our Dolphin file browser. We'll install FFmpeg thumbs. That'll give us thumbnails. We're going to install wofi, Waybar, network-manager-applet, and Hyperpaper. Those are helper apps. Wofi is going to be our launcher, Waybar is going to be our taskbar, Network Manager Applet is going to be for our networking, and Hyperpaper is for our wallpapers. Now I'm sure I had some spelling errors there, but let me push enter and see. Wow, was there no spelling errors? Well, I guess we'll see. I'll select the default, and the default, and the default, and wow, that's going to install 3 gigabytes of stuff. I'm a gangster. Let that sucker ride, and I'll catch with y'all when it's done. Okay, we have to select some more defaults. I'm fine with that. We've already installed some fonts. And proceed to review. Yes. Last one, we'll accept the changes. And you know what to do. I'll catch you when it's done. Okay, it says Hyper-Wayland Scanner-Git and Hyper-Wayland Scanner are in conflict. Remove Hyper-Wayland Scanner. I'm going to say yes here. And it will install the replacement. hyperutils-get and hyperutils are in conflict, so I'll say yes here. Okay, we've got more conflicting packages, hyperlang-get and hyperlang. I'm going to say yes again. Lots of conflicts tonight. I'm going to say yes on the hypergraphics-get and hypergraphics. We're changing everything over to the bleeding edge. Yes. Okay, it asks us for our password, so I'll give it. Are we almost done? Come on, it says cleaning up. Let's go! We're doing this thing together, guys. And gals. Whoa, it finished. Boom! What we're gonna do now is we're gonna make a directory in home.config, and we're gonna call it hyper. This is where our Hyprland configuration files will live. We're gonna cp/user share hyper, and then hyprland.com. And we're going to copy that to home config hyperland.com. That's going to be our very stock Hyprland configuration. Okay. We need a display manager. We're going to use SDDM. So we'll type a peru-s on SDDM. And this is TechHeart, so we're going to install a theme of SDDM-sugar-candy-git. Sounds good. I like it. Boom. We'll let that install. Yes. Yes. And now we need to enable SDDM. So we'll do a sudo systemctl enable SDDM. That looks okay. And then we have to enable our theme. So we'll do a sudo nano or vim for me because I like vim on etc sddm.conf. Here we'll add theme in brackets current equals sugar-candy. Oh baby, we're making this thing look good already. Save that file. If you're in Nano, you'll press Control X. If you're in Vim, you'll press :WQ. Ho ho ho. Let me clear that screen. Okay, at this point, guys, we can do a sudo reboot now because we have SDDM activated and we're gonna boot into Hyprland for the first time. Are y'all ready? I'm excited. Let's go. And look at that. You can see our beautiful SDDM sugar theme. So we'll get logged in. There we go. I can press Super Q to pull up our terminal. The only edits I've made is for my capture card so I can show you wonderful people the screen. We're gonna move into .config hyper, and I'm gonna vim or nano if you're a lamer, hyprland.conf. Okay, as noted, the only changes that I've made here is this monitor section, and this is just for my monitor mirroring. So we're gonna move down here to the exec once section right here. Above, we can see these cache terminal equals kitty, which we have installed, file manager equals dolphin, which we have installed, and menu equals wofi, which we have installed. So I'm gonna remove these comment lines, boop, 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 boop. Okay, I do not want to load kitty every time I boot, so I'm gonna recomment that. I do want to load nmapplet, but I don't need that and. I do want to load Waybar. I'm going to press enter and do exec-once equals hyperpaper. And I don't want Firefox. We have Brave. So I changed our exec onces to nmapplet, Waybar, and hyperpaper for now. Let's go down to our binds. I'm going to search for it. Here we are. And I want to make sure our file manager is super plus E. Now for wofi, the stock is super plus R, but I prefer super plus space, and that's the keys that we'll press to pull up wofi. I'm going to go back up here to the input section. I'm going to search for it. Input. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to change some settings here. So I'll just go down after the keyboard stuff, follow mouse and sensitivity, and I'm going to insert a couple lines. And the settings I'm going to change are for comment, repeat, rate, and delay. What does that mean? Well, we'll type in repeat underscore rate equals 25. That's the stock setting. And we'll do repeat underscore delay equals 600. And these are the stock options. What does that mean? If I press the button F and hold it, that's the repeat rate right there. It's how fast the F key continues. And then the repeat delay is, if I press backspace, that's 500 milliseconds. Now I want to speed that up a little bit. So I'm going to take the 25 and I'm going to change it to 60. Now if I save this file, Control S, or if you're in Vim, :W. Now if I press F, watch how much faster it goes. Look at that. Okay, so 60 is about right. And I want to change the delay from 600 to around 350. That might be too quick. Let's write the file. And now if we hold down the F key, we got that 60 rate. And let's press backspace and see if 350 is good. I want to maybe take that up a little bit. I'm going to take 350 to 400, write that file, and now there's that repeat rate, and I'm going to press backspace now, and a 400 millisecond delay is pretty good. Okay, save that file. Here we go. Now we have nothing set up. So for example, if we press our laptop's brightness up and down, we won't get anything right now. Let's get out of this file. We'll save and quit, and we're going to do a Peru-S on brightness CTL. Let's get that installed. Okay. Now we need to go check our keybinds again here in the hyprland.conf. Here they are. And we're going to look for, right down here, this section, XF86 audio. This is for audio. And right down here is for brightness. You see it says bind 1 XF86 monitor brightness up. If I press the function key and my brightness, oh, you can't see it because it's on the capture card, but it is working. Now there are options to get on-screen displays, you know, like on Mac OS when you press the volume up, volume down, or brightness up, brightness down, and there's a little on-screen display that pops up. We can do that. It's right over here. Let me go back over here to the Arch Wiki, and we could find that if we went down here to right here in the Arch Wiki. We could click over here on the on-screen notifications and we could find information about that, but we're going to keep moving forward, guys. So our brightness is working, great. Now for our media keys, for volume control, let's exit out of this file. And we're going to do a Peru-S on player CTL. Later when we install Wire Plumber, it'll fix all of our volume buttons. But for now, we're just going to do player CTL. Let's install that. Okie dokie. Let's get our touchpad gestures going. Right now, if I scroll with 3 fingers to the left or to the right, nothing happens. But if we edit our hyprland.conf, and we're going to search for gestures. Here we go. Right now, the workspace swipe is false. So I'm going to set that to true. I'm going to do 2 other options. Workspace underscore swipe underscore fingers equals 3. Okay, let's save that file. Now, if I swipe left or right with 3 fingers, Bob's your uncle, baby. Man, we're starting to make this system happen. Okay, screen sharing. I'm going to exit out of this hyprland.conf. Currently, if you tried to screen share in OBS, nothing would happen. So let's do a Peru-S on pipe wire, wire plumber. This is for our audio. We'll do XDG-desktop portal-hyprland. We'll do an XDG-desktop-portal-GTK. And we'll do grim and slurp. Let's get all that installed. Look at that, pretty quick. And we need to add one more exec once to hyprland.conf. So let's go up here and we'll find exec once, and we're going to add exec-once equals dbus-update-activation-environment space --systemd capital Wayland underscore display space xdg underscore current underscore desktop. Now, if we save this file and we reboot Hyprland, we'll be able to share in OBS with the screen capture pipewire option. Okay, do we need to set our screen resolution? We'll exit out of here and let's run a hyper-CTL monitors. We can see my laptop's EDP-1 monitor. And if I edit hyprland.conf and go to monitors, it currently says preferred for the resolution, but I could very easily put in here 1920 by 1080p, and that would be just fine. If you have a 4K display, this is how you'll get your high DPI resolutions. All right, let's keep moving right along. We don't have any sort of copy and paste in this system. So let's get out of this hyprland.conf again, and we'll do a Peru-S on WL-clipboard and clip hist. What does that do? Well, let's let that stuff install. And then we need a couple more exec once. Let's vim hyprland.com. We'll go down here to the exec once section, and we're going to insert exec-once equals wl-paste -type text -watch clip hist store, and another one for exec-once equals wl-paste -type image -watch clip hist store. Each one of those stores only text data and stores only image data. Now we need to add some binds though. So let's go down to our binds section. Here we go. We'll go right here on the main binds, and we're going to add bind equals alt C exec comma wl-paste -primary bar for wl-copy. Okay, so that's our copy command. Bind equals alt comma C comma exec comma wl-paste -primary bar wl-copy. Then for our paste, we'll do alt comma v comma exec comma clip hist list bar wofi -d menu bar clip hist decode bar wl-copy. Okay, so this sets up our copy and paste. Let's save this. We'll do a Control S if you're on Nano and a :WQ if you're on Vim. So now we can copy and paste. We can just grab like this Vim Hyprland right here, and we'll press Alt C. And now if we press Alt V, look at that. wofi pops up and has our copy history. I'll show you some more. Let me just copy this, my username up here, and I'll press Alt C, boom, Alt V, and look at that. We have our history. Baby, Bob's your uncle, dog. Okay, now, if we edit hyprland.conf again, we'll remember up here in the exec once section, we have exec once -Waybar, but we don't have Waybar installed yet. So let's get out of here. Now we can do a Peru-S on Waybar, not Waybar, Waybar. Booyah! Okay, and now that that's installed, since we've already modified our hyprland.conf to exec once Waybar, we can do a hyperctl reload. Now, whenever we reboot our system, we should get Waybar up there at the top. And yeah, so look at that. We have our very basic Waybar up at the top, but we can make this look a lot better. So I'll press Window Q to get a terminal. And in order to theme Waybar, we could do a git clone on https github.com/dracula/waybar.git, and that'll pull down everything. We can move into the Waybar folder it just created, and we can do a cp-rv on Waybar to home/config, and then if we go to home/config/Waybar, we can see we have some setup files. We can do a pkill on Waybar and rerun Waybar with one and boom! And look at that, we have a Dracula theme up here. So we can modify our Waybar with a bunch of simple themes like cat puking or Dracula or many of the other ones that are available. Or you can do it yourself. You can modify these Waybar theme files to make something different and put icons up there and your different workspaces and all of that stuff. But I just wanted to show one Waybar theme. And now what do we have to work with? Maybe we can theme wofi. Uh-oh. Okay, with that part banged out, let's do super space, and we'll see that wofi pops up. And we can go through here and select any program that we have installed, but it's pretty basic and not theme. We can take care of that. First, I'm going to move into the .config folder, and I'm going to make a directory, wofi. We'll move in there. From here, you can nano or vim style.css, and we're going to add some text here. So I'll paste that CSS code in, and I'll put this in the description of the video. Be sure to save that. Control X if you're in Nano, WQ if you're in Vim. And now we have a style.css. I'm going to make another file, nano or vim config, no extension, just config. And we're going to enter some stuff. Show equals drun, prompt equals search : columns equals 1, width equals 600, lines equals 10, insensitive equals true, and term equals kitty. So there's some stuff you can edit if you want, say, it to be wider or have more columns, etc., etc. So let's save that file. Control X for nano, :WQ for Vim. We'll clear and do an ls. So now you see we have config and style.css in home.config/wofi. Let's make sure we have the fonts needed. We'll do Peru-S on TTF-JetBrainsMono Nerd, baby. Let that puppy get installed. Okay, we can test this now with wofi-show drun. Ooh, look at that pretty thing. All right, so this is how we edit our hyperlink, man. I think that wofi's looking pretty good. Now, does it come up when I push super space? Same thing, baby. We're theming Hyprland, Tech Heart. Let's go. Okay, we currently have no logout screen, or a way to push some keybind and then log out or shut down our system. So I moved into the main.config folder, and first off, let's install some stuff. We'll do a Peru-S on wlogout, and we'll use wlogout as our logout manager. Okay, give it a password, and let that puppy fly. All right, I'm gonna clear the screen just so that I can make a directory of home.config wlogout. There we go, and we can move into there. The first thing we'll do is we'll nano or vim config.json and shift insert to paste it. And that's for config.json in the wlogout folder. Okay. Now we'll nano or vim style.css. And same thing, shift insert. Okay, save that, Control X or :WQ. And we also need to move into our .config and nano or vim Hyprland, and hyprland.com. Okay, we're gonna go down to our binds, baby. Add it right here. We're gonna do a bind equals cache main mod. We'll put super L, and it's going to exec w logout. Save that file. And now, if we run a hyperctl reload, we should be able to type super L, and there's a very not themed wlogout, but I guess we have everything. Well, look at that. Maybe we should add a lock screen too. So let's hold the wlogout theming off for a minute. We'll try to improve this, but let's add sway lock for a lock screen. Okay, so for sway lock, let's try a Peru-S on sway lock-effects. Here we go. Okay, with that installed, let's do an ls on our main hyper folder in the .config, and I can see that we do not have a scripts directory. So I'll make directory hyper/scripts, and we're going to edit our first script. Oops, I have to name it. lockscreen.sh. Shift insert, and there we have a sway lock script. Okay, let's write that. Oops. Let's save that file. And we'll have to do a chmod +x on .config hyper scripts lock screen. We're going to need a new bond too, so we'll edit hyprland.com. And right in the other one we just added, we'll do a bind equals. Here we can do a main mod, L, and we're going to exec home.config/hyper/scripts/lockscreen.sh. Okay, for the swaylock config, let's make a directory .config swaylock, and then we'll edit with nano or vim config swaylock/config. And I'll paste it with shift insert. Okay, so here's theme for cat pukin mocha. We can test that with swaylock. Look at this. Now when we type our password, we get that cool effect. Now let's test that with super shift L, and Bob's your uncle, baby. Any of those settings in hyperscripts lockscreen.sh you can change if you don't like how that looks. See how it fades in, then it takes the background away. Maybe you want that wallpaper to stay up. But at any rate, you can make those changes here, and also you can look at the swaylock documentations. Bam! Okay, let's try to fix this wlogout theme. You can nano or vim and config wlogout style.css. I'm going to delete this because we're going to add something new. Shift insert. Now that's a lot more. Again, I'll have this in the description, so save that file. And now let's try that again with super L. Yeah, baby! There we go! We just needed that better style.css. And I'll tell you what, man, we've came pretty far with this Hyprland, and we did it all by hand. Now, like the Hyper v4 theme that I covered in a previous Arch Linux installation Hyprland video, there are other popular themes. The last thing I'm going to show you guys is, let's open up our browser, and we're going to search for the Hyprland wiki. Here we go. Everything you'd need to know about setting up, installing, theming, or further editing your Hyprland setup is right in here. It starts right from the startup, different variables, keywords, monitors, binds, and in these different sections, it'll also tell you the other helper apps that we didn't use. Like instead of Waybar, maybe you want to use Polybar. And in here you can find all of that stuff. Like see here, useful utilities. If you come in here, we'll click must have. It tells you all about the different things that you might want to add to your Hyprland setup. Status bars. As I said, you can use Waybar, and here's information about that. Or the wiki will tell you about other apps, like Eel, Elcower's Wacky Widgets for your taskbar. At any rate, the Hyprland wiki is jam-packed full with good information, and it's what I used to make some of the setup in this video. Down here, you can see pre-configured setups. And if you don't want to do everything by hand, you'll find different Hyprland themes that have already been completely rocked out. So if you find something over here and you don't want to do all the work, those are available to you. At any rate, guys, I think we had fun playing around with Hyprland, and we got a little bit done. Now, tell me down in the comments below, what type of rice do you add to your Hyprland? Did you enjoy this video? Please make sure you give TechHeart a sub and a like. It really helps the channel. But for now, boys and girls, TechHeart out!